Okay, we are going to be reading together. Make sure you're following along, underlining what I'm underlining, putting a box around anything that I'm putting a box around, and making notes when I'm making notes. Your paper should look exactly like my paper by the end of this video. And before you ask, I sped up my voice to make this process a little quicker. You're welcome.
So to get started, I'm going to write my name on my paper, Miss Mac. Then, class, date, you've probably already done that, so let's just zoom in a little bit. Read number 1. So the first time we read any text, we're going to read to get the gist. So we're going to read to get the overall feeling of the text, just what kind of text is this, what is it maybe going to be about, just a little bit, and then we can move on to read number 2. So read to get the gist. Underline and read the first and last sentences. Skim the middle. So breeze through the middle really quickly. Just read it really fast. Ask yourself, what kind of text is this? Is this a story? Is it more nonfiction? What kind of text is this? And then in this read, we're just getting our brain ready to read. Okay, let's start with the first thing. Underline and read the first and last sentences. So we have the text right here. Zoom back out. So matter and energy. What is matter? We're going to read the first and last sentences. So a chicken, a grain of sand, a subway car, and a massive quasar and at the edge of the visible universe all have one thing in common. They're composed of matter. And I'm going to underline that whole sentence. And this is a really short text. And then I'm going to jump to the end. The end says, this means it is matter. Underline that. Okay. So now I have my first and last sentences. Now I'm going to skim the middle. That means read it really fast. So anything that takes up, all matter takes up space. Can you feel a balloon? Matter has mass and weight. Show number, this means this matter. Okay. If you didn't read it that fast, it's okay. But remember, we're just skimming it. We're not really reading it. Let's go on to the second part. Read number 2. Chunk the text. So chunking the text just means break up the text into smaller parts and plan the places where we're going to stop. Now, the natural place to stop in any reading are the paragraphs. So let's look at this reading. It's pretty short. Let's take the paragraphs. Let's see where the paragraphs are and if those are short enough for us to read. So here's a paragraph. Here's a paragraph. Here's a paragraph. And here's a paragraph. And this is the first paragraph. Okay, so you should be doing what I'm doing on your paper. If you haven't been doing that, please start now. So here's where I have some chunked text. And remember, our 2 is to chunk the text. So I've chunked the text, and those are 4 pretty equal parts. And it looks like it's maybe 2 or 3 sentences each. So I think I'm good here. We're going to say this is the first part, second part, third part, fourth part, and then we're going to stop. And after each one of these paragraphs, I might stop and write something to the left here where I have some space. Okay, let's move on to third page. And your third page should look something like this. Let's zoom in. Read number 3, read to annotate. Who or what is the thing that the author is talking about the most? What are the most important details? So on this third read, we are asking ourselves, what is most important as far as details go, and what's the most important main idea here? So let's read together. Please follow along with me as I read out loud. This time we are annotating, so if I underline something or if I make a note about something, you should make that note as well or underline that thing as well. Okay, so matter and energy. What is matter? A chicken, a grain of sand, a subway car, and a massive quasar at the edge of the visible universe all have one thing in common. They are composed of matter. And I'm going to circle or put a box around this word matter because I can tell that it's pretty important. It's in the title, matter and energy. What is matter? I have a few examples of matter. So maybe I just write matter over here, and you should be writing this as well. Matter, and then examples. Chicken, and maybe I'll pick 2, and a subway car. I don't need all of them, but maybe I can underline them. At the edge of the visible universe. Okay. All right, and now that I have that section done, maybe I'll put a check right here, just so that if I ever stop reading, I'll know where I left off. Okay, section 2. Anything that takes up space and has mass is called matter. There's that word matter again. Put a box around it. I know it's important because it's in the title, and I also know that we're learning about matter in class today. Air, rocks, and even people all take up space and have mass. That means that air, rocks, and people are examples of matter. Here's some more examples of matter. If you want, you can put a box around that matter again, because it's an important word. We've already discussed this. Maybe we write over here, matter, more examples, because it lists some more examples. Maybe I pick 1 or 2. Air, rocks, humans. I'll just pick 3. But there was also another important detail in here. This was not the most important detail. Maybe I'll just go look back. Anything that takes up space and has mass is called matter. Oh, we have a definition here. So matter, make a note. You should be making the same note. Matter, anything that takes up space and has mass. Okay, and I think that covers this whole paragraph. We have this definition here, and then we have examples. Okay, now we can move on to section 3. All matter takes up space. Okay, we've kind of covered that. Anything that takes up space, all matter takes up space, but there's that word matter again. A good way to test if an object takes up space is to use balloons. Can the object fill up a balloon? If yes, then it is matter. So this introduction of balloons is new. I haven't heard anything about balloons so far, but this all matter takes up space and balloons, that's important. So I'm going to maybe say that this is an important detail, that matter not only takes up space, but we can test whether something takes up space. Takes up space. Can we fill a balloon with it? Can the object fill up a balloon? And maybe I'll underline that question. That seems like an important question. Can the object fill up a balloon? If yes, then it's matter. And we're covering matter today. So we need to discover if something is matter, right? So this question is going to be really important. Can we fill up a balloon with it? Okay, a good way to test if an object to use balloons, and then it explains how we use balloons. So I think I'm done with this paragraph. I can move on. Ooh, and I forgot to put my check marks up here. Okay, so let's move on. Concluding paragraph, paragraph number 4. Matter, there's that word matter again, also has mass and weight. We can use a triple beam balance or a scale to measure mass and weight. A basketball will show a number when we put it on a scale. This means it is matter. Okay, so we're trying to figure out whether something is matter or not. So if we put it on a scale, we can see if it's matter. So the scale might be important here. Mass and weight, anything that takes up space and has mass is matter. So that would be important. So has mass and weight. Has mass and weight. That's the introductory sentence, and then it shows us how we can test mass and weight. We can use a triple beam balance or a scale to measure mass and weight, and that's important because we need to be able to measure mass and weight because we need to find out whether or not something is matter. Okay, so has mass and weight. How can we find if something has mass and weight? I guess we can put it on a scale. Put it on a scale. And not only can we put it on a scale, but it looks like a basketball will show a number. So we'll show a number. Okay, and I think triple beam balance or scale. Put it on a scale or triple beam balance. Let's add that. Triple beam balance. Okay, and it shows a number. Okay, maybe shows a number. I think we're done with that paragraph too, so we can put a check here. And then we've done all of the paragraphs so far, and we are done with the reading. You should have plenty of notes, and you should have a good idea of what matter is and how we can test whether something is matter or not. This is a strategy, this Take Two strategy. You can use this in all of your classes, in ELA, in social studies, in art if you ever read in art, in math if you ever read in math, and of course in science you can always use this. So, make sure to keep an eye on the timer and put this somewhere where you will not lose it in your folder.